What's up? What's up, everyone? Happy Wednesday. I'm super excited to be back. We just got back from Cancun. We're back in the States, back in the cold weather again. And I am feeling really excited to also be back making lives again. Today, we're going to talk about gut health because this is one of the topics that is so intriguing to me and is something that I feel super passionate about. And I really do see that this is one of the biggest things that people underestimate when it comes to their overall health. Because a lot of people want to focus on symptoms, they want to focus on putting band aids on the problem. But if we really want to see a difference and a big change in our overall health, in our energy, in our symptoms that we're having, even autoimmune issues, then we have to focus on the foundation, and that is our gut health, right? I've made a lot of other videos about this, but once again, I don't think that this can be touched on enough. So today we're going to talk about all things gut health. And to get started, let's discuss basically what exactly is gut health, right? Because a lot of people think gut health and they just think, I'm guessing it has to do with my food being digested in my gut. Is that my gut? Is it my stomach? Is it my intestine, right? So your gut health is starting at the mouth, ends at the other end, right? The entire digestive tract and everything has to do with your gut. That's what we're talking about when we talk about improving gut health. And this is also very interconnected with gut microbiome. This tends to be a very trendy subject nowadays. And something that's really cool about microbiome is it's not just something that's in the gut, right? We're not just talking about the microbiome, the gut bacteria that is inside the body, but microbiome also lives on your skin, right? So today we're going to talk about not just about how what you put in your body matters for your overall gut health, but also what you're surrounded by, how your mind also affects your gut health and also just your overall health in general. And of course, what we're putting on our skin. What we put on our skin also has a huge impact on our overall health. Okay? So, of course, like we discussed, everything that we put inside of our body, of course, is going to affect our gut health. But let's talk about some of the main culprits and some of the main things that people are doing that maybe they even think are healthy, but are actually damaging their overall gut health. Number one is that when someone is having a lot of problems with their gut, let me give you some examples. Let's say you're dealing with bloating, you have constipation or diarrhea, you have a lot of just stomach discomfort and pain. You're also dealing with very low energy. You've noticed that maybe you've been developing more skin problems, maybe even more mood issues, right? You're having these mood instabilities and all this stuff, right? This is a sign that your gut is having a lot of problems, right? We are having something going wrong internally that is, once again, causing a downline, a cascade of other problems because this is normal, right? This is normal for when the root is sick, right? The tree, the rest of the plant will also show signs of that. And that is why I always talk about symptoms as a message that there's a deeper problem. So if we're having all of these other symptoms, low energy, constipation, diarrhea, skin problems, right? The list goes on, then we can almost guarantee that there's a problem in our gut. Why? Because the gut is the second brain. This is the command center, right? Your gut is the command center. It's going to speak to the brain. It's going to interact with the nervous system. It's going to have an impact on every single other process in your body. Okay, so this is essential. So a lot of people think that when they're healing their gut, the first thing that they should do is just go to eating what society tells you, which is this healthy diet. And for most people, that is increasing their vegetables, right? Amount of vegetables they're eating, probably eating more protein, eating just more of a healthy diet in terms of society standard. And for some people, this might even be veganism, right? Or vegetarian, because there's people that believe that, vegetarian is the right way. There's people that believe keto is the right way. Everyone's going to have their own perspective depending on who you talk to, what dietitian, what coach, or whoever. But what I'm going to tell you today is there's something that is very, very important for you to know about your digestive system, especially when it is in distress. If you have a lot of gut problems, you have to be very careful about what it is that you're consuming, right? So one of those things is fiber. Fiber is a very common thing that's pushed in a lot of different health communities and groups because people think that fiber is the main thing that is going to heal their gut. But here's the thing. If you have a lot of problems, let's say you have an overgrowth of yeast, you have SIBO, which is an overgrowth of bacteria in your intestine. All of these things, if you consume too much raw vegetables and fruits out the gate, if you change your diet significantly and adding so many fibers, guess what happens? You have a fermentation happen. You have this overgrowth of bacterias, good and bad, that causes bloating. And this is where a lot of people, they get held back. They start to be like, why do I feel worse now that I'm eating better? Right? How many of you guys can relate with this? Let's say you're having problems, you're feeling bloated, you're feeling constipated, some health guru comes into your life and says, hey, you just need to eat more fiber. You just need to eat healthier, right? So you do that, and then all of a sudden, your problems are worse. This is exactly why. Because the more problems you have with your gut, the more careful you have to be in the repair process. And like I said, and like I just mentioned, that is fiber. You have to be careful about how you are introducing fiber because, yes, fiber is necessary for helping get us on track, bringing us back to a healthy place where we can feed those good bacterias with the prebiotics, with the fiber. But step one is identifying how these foods make you feel. This is really going to be the best place to start so that you know for your own self, because we're all unique, we're all going to be starting in a different place depending on where we are with our gut health. This is why one of the best things to do is to do an elimination diet. Basically, where you cut out a lot of grains, if not all grains, you're cutting out all sugar, you're cutting out legumes, and basically going back to more of like a very simple, like even like a paleo type of lifestyle, and then reintroducing food so that you can become aware of where is my body at. Can I handle a lot of fiber, or do I need to tailor it back because I'm feeling bloated? Or maybe I'm feeling my energy decreases after I eat a meal. Or maybe when I eat this, I get constipated or I have diarrhea. These are all signs that what you're doing and what you're eating is not resonating with where your gut is at this moment, right? There's a process to healing your gut, just like there's a process to healing anything and everything, right? There's processes of how you grieve when you lose a loved one. There's a process of how you heal when you work out in the gym. Everything has a process. So, depending on where you are, will depend on how we go about healing your gut. But there are a few things that I like to call foundational necessities when it comes to healing our gut. And one of those is going to be your probiotics, right? Because we need those probiotics in order to build up the healthy bacteria in our gut, right? And yes, you still need little bits of fiber, right? Regardless of where you're starting in your healing journey, prebiotic fibers, specifically soluble fiber, that is going to feed that probiotic, those healthy bacteria, so that we can start to repopulate your gut microbiome with the right amount and ratio of bacteria so that we can absorb the food, the nutrients that we're taking in via food, right? That is why, obviously, the product that is created that clearly I'm talking about all the time, Vibe. Why? Why do I talk about this? Why did we create a product that has probiotics, that has all these things? Obviously, with all the experience, all the things that I've seen over 8 years plus working with people, working with my own health issues, trying to heal my own, autoimmune issues and all these things that I've had, right? I had to learn to become my own healer by educating myself and by learning about what is it that's actually going to make a difference. I saw doctor after doctor after doctor. No one could help me because, right, they want to give you pills, they want to give you this, they want to give you a quick fix and another Band-Aid for your symptoms. And I was sick of it. I was like, I am sick of this. I want to find out what is actually going to make me feel better. What is going to make all of these symptoms that I'm having actually go down, right? How can I actually start feeling more energized, having more, healthier skin, having my hair grow faster, feeling like finally I'm not dealing with bloating and constipation and all these gut issues, right? So that is why I discovered over a period of time that there are certain things that I must focus on when it comes to my gut, because I learned that healing my gut was the foundation of everything. Okay? So let me see here. It's showing me that I am having an issue over here on Facebook for some reason. I guess I can fix that later. Okay, so like I said, that is why probiotics and prebiotics are in this product, because I understand that, one, you need both in order for them to survive in your gut. You need the probiotics, you need the prebiotics, right? But once again, I want you guys to use your own self-awareness when it comes to educating yourself, obviously. Hopefully, you're watching this and you're getting some information that is valuable, but also do the experimental work on yourself, because just because one person says this is the diet that worked for them doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Just because high fiber diet works for this person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. Just because carnivore or keto works for this person doesn't mean it's going to work for you. But what you can do is you can try, once again, something for yourself so that you can see how you feel, because that is the biggest indicator, really, I believe, and I have learned this too, is how do you feel when you eat certain foods? It's that simple. Your body speaks to you by telling you, I'm bloated, or I'm feeling this way, or my energy went down, or I have diarrhea, or I have constipation. These are all indicators that your body is saying either this is good for me or this isn't good for me, right? That is why I always, always focus on doing an elimination diet with every single person that I've worked with when it comes to their gut health. Do an elimination diet. Because if you eliminate all of the potentially inflammatory foods, and for those of you who are asking me, okay, what is this, right? I have some people asking me, what is the elimination diet? If you go look up right now, it's called Whole30. There's a book on this, and it's very in-depth on exactly why you need to remove certain foods and why these foods cause inflammation. It's so educational. I highly recommend that you read it. It's called It Starts With Food. It's a book based on Whole30. It's kind of a paleo type of way of eating, and what it does is it eliminates all of these potentially inflammatory foods so that you can go on this 30-day journey of eating a certain way, and then you reintroduce foods slowly, and then you finally will know for yourself what works well with my body and what doesn't, right? Then you can learn, okay, well, is dairy good for me personally? It may work for your brother, your sister, or your mom, but it doesn't mean it's going to work for you, right? Figure these things out, and you do this by experimenting with yourself, right? In a healthy way that's safe, of course, so that you can learn what makes you feel healthy. What makes you feel energized? What is the way of eating that's going to help alleviate and get rid of all these symptoms so that your gut can actually heal? Because here's another thing. When we are eating a diet that we think is healthy because someone else told us it's healthy, that could potentially still be having problems. You could still be having problems from this, because if you're eating a food that your body is having an inflammatory response to, this is going to hinder the process of healing for your gut. So if we want to really speed up the recovery process and make ourselves feel better faster, then we do it in a smart way. Instead of working harder, we are working smarter. Okay? So, like I said, this was one of the best things that I found. doing an elimination diet, figuring out exactly where my problem foods were, what are the things that I should kind of stay away from, what should I focus on eating more of, and then my energy came back. My constipation disappeared. All of these things, even my skin started to look more glowing, more vibrant. My hair started growing faster. And a lot of these other symptoms that I was having disappeared. Why? Because I'm getting to the root of the problem. I'm starting to heal. I'm starting to decrease inflammation. And my gut lining starts to heal. Now I'm absorbing nutrients again, right? Now I'm getting all these things that my body was needing, but it couldn't absorb before because my gut was in such a crazy place and distress and leaky and all these things that I just couldn't absorb the things that I needed, right? That is why the gut is your second brain. It is the key to you reaching your optimal health. Okay, I'm going to take a couple questions here because we had quite a few come in here. Let me see. This person says, personally, I like taking turmeric and probiotics to avoid bloat and focus on whole foods. This is amazing. Yes, exactly. And turmeric is amazing for decreasing inflammation. Probiotics, we've already talked about how important that is for healthy bacterias to help avoid bloating, right? Because when we're getting those good bacteria, it's going to help us with digesting our food, right? When it gets into the small intestine. Another thing I want to touch on today as well, adding on to this comment, is there's a lot more to the digestive process than just the probiotics, right? We have digestive enzymes that start in the mouth. That's where your food starts to break down. Goes down, goes into your stomach. A lot of people have low stomach acid. So their body can't fully break down foods, especially protein, because it's harder for the body to break down the protein if you have low stomach acid. So the list goes on and on when it comes to problems that someone could be dealing with. But once again, this is why we educate ourselves. This is why we become aware of the symptoms that we're having, right? And instead of trying to cover and put Band-Aids on our symptoms, we're going to ask ourselves, what is the root? How can I get to the core of this so that I can heal and feel better? Because right? If we get to the root of the problem, technically all of my symptoms should disappear, right? Because we're pulling it up from the root instead of, oh, this hurts. I have constipation. Pill for constipation. Oh, my skin is looking bad. Let me take a cream. Ooh, put it on my face and hopefully this fixes it, right? Or, oh, now I'm dealing with acid reflux. Let me take an antacid. That's not going to solve the problem. In fact, most of the time when we take pills for symptoms, our symptoms get worse and we get more problems because your body is screaming, help me, something's going on. And instead of becoming aware of what our body's saying to us, we suppress it and we put Band-Aids on it. That is why I preach this constantly. That is literally the message behind Vibe. Get to the foundation of your health, because when you fix the foundation, when we work on the gut, all of your other symptoms should completely go away, right? Because when we're healthy, we don't have these problems, right? And so many people are walking around operating at maybe 50, 60% of where they could be. 50 to 60% of your energy that you could potentially have. 50 to 60% of feeling good every day. Imagine if you were living your entire life at only 60%, when you could feel 100%. That's terrible, right? We want to be at our best. Imagine the things that you could do in your life if you had more energy, if you weren't in pain all the time, if your body was functioning better. How much more confident would you feel in your own skin, right? All of these things are connected to our health. I could go on for days talking about these things. Okay, a few more questions over here on, let's see, we're over here checking out YouTube. Hello, everyone. Someone is saying all of this roots from a bad diet. Sadly, I do think that is the case. That is the case most of the time. Okay. I see too many people in a bad mood simply because of their gut health. And then, of course, you add in things like birth control and da da da, right? That's, of course, a whole nother topic, right? We're talking all the pills and all the things that people are taking that are causing more and more problems with hormones, right? Because that's a whole nother thing. People forget that their gut is directly connected to their hormones because your gut is what sends the signals to the brain. It's also what gives the body the nutrients that it needs to produce hormones, healthy hormones, right? And of course, when we have that imbalance in our gut, now the body's producing maybe too much of something, maybe not enough of something, and that's where we get mood issues and that's where we start to feel not our best, right? Let me see here. Yeah, some people think they're being healthy with chicken and broccoli, but ignore the seed oils in the chicken and broccoli seasoning. Yeah, and that's another thing, right? That's super trendy right now is this whole idea of, avoiding seed oils because of inflammation, right? And it's funny that we have to have these conversations because it seems like it should be obvious to us that whole foods are healthy because they're more natural, right? They're more organic. The more that something is processed, right? The more ingredients that it has on the back of the label, right? The more likely it is to have had additives and different things in there that is not going to be recognized by the body. Because we consume something, right? Like if I go out and I eat a cookie or something else, right, that was made, let's say I bake a cookie at home versus I buy it at the store. There's a lot of ingredients in a store-bought cookie that my body is not even going to recognize because it's like chemicals and different crazy stuff, right? My body sees that and it's like attack, inflammation goes up because it doesn't recognize that as real food. So anytime you're consuming something that isn't whole food based or isn't something that you can pronounce, right, that you can even really recognize as food, of course it's going to cause inflammation. You're putting information in the form of food that the body's saying, I don't even know what this is. And it's going to say, this is a foreign object. We don't know what this is. Boom, inflammation goes up. That is the simplest way to understand why whole foods are so healing because the body can recognize that as fuel. You're not going to add water to your gas tank in your car. You're not going to put juice in your gas tank in your car. You put gasoline because it recognizes that as fuel. But all of us people are sitting over here putting all this crazy stuff into our bodies, expecting to be running normally. It's crazy if you start to think about it from a more logical mind. Okay. Oh yeah, and then we have all the chemicals from pans and different things like that. Yeah, and that's a whole nother thing. Like, man, there's so many things, right? And I don't want to get overwhelmed, right? I don't want people to get overwhelmed because starting with the basics is always the best place to go, right? Improving our diet, right? Moving, drinking water, starting with the foundational things really does make a huge difference in how you feel, alleviating many, many symptoms that you're having. And then, of course, when you want to go to the next level, right, then we want to start talking about how can I decrease the amount of toxins that I'm exposed to in my environment, whether this is in the form of, right, cooking with certain pans, or maybe I'm using a lot of perfumes, on my skin and on my thyroid. It could be causing problems. Maybe I'm cooking with a lot of, or even using a lot of products on my skin, lotion, soap, makeup, hair products that are high in toxins, right? This is kind of the next level, I would say, when you start to get the foundation down. But I don't want people to hear all this mumbo jumbo that's going on over here in this, even in the biohacking space, right? There's a lot of talk about how to optimize, wear these blue light blocking glasses and do this and use a cold plunge and do the sauna. But many people are forgetting the foundational things. Like literally, focus on eating a healthy diet, moving your body, hydrating, sleeping well. If you're not doing those foundational things, and you're just going to add in all these other things, you're not going to get the best benefit, because your body needs to have those foundational things in order to be able to perform, of course, but not only that, to be able to recover. If I'm doing the sauna, right, we have a sauna back here, but I'm not sleeping well, I'm not eating well, and I'm not really moving my body, yes, I'll get some benefit from that. But imagine if I eat good, I'm moving my body, and I sleep well, I'm going to 10x my results when I use the sauna now, because my body is in a place where it can now detoxify, right? So what I'm saying is we need to have that foundation built. And that is one of the things that I'm always talking about all the time. I've been talking about this as a coach, like I said, for years and years and years now, because I've seen it too often that people just want a quick fix. They just want me to quick put them on a diet plan just to make them drop calories or whatever. But they forget about the other things that are important. Because when you do the things that make you healthier, your body will lose weight. Your symptoms start to go away, because healthy bodies don't have symptoms like that. Healthy bodies have energy. Healthy bodies are in a healthy weight, right? It's pretty common sense. Yes, another person saying great info, go organic. Yeah, and of course, eating organic when you can, right? Because the more clean and, better sourced food you can find, obviously the better it is. And water and sleep are so underrated. Exactly. So many people are like, "Oh, I'm so constipated. How much water do you drink per day?" "Oh, I don't really drink water." There you go, right? "Oh, I feel like, I'm so tired." Did you sleep? Did you sleep good last night? Did you have a good night's rest? Of course you're going to feel tired if you didn't sleep well, right? Alrighty, let me go ahead and check a few more of these comments here on TikTok. I haven't really been paying attention to the comments over here. Give me a second. Someone's asking about keto. So keto is an interesting one, because I remember, how long ago was this? About 10 years ago, I would say, is when keto was booming. Everyone was talking about being in ketosis and how this was the answer. People were losing a lot of weight. But once again, when you have something that's so extreme, such as ketosis, something that is more unrealistic to sustain over the long term, it's not healthy, right? I'm not saying that keto isn't something that can be used as a tool and something that potentially is very healthy in the short term, but it's not something that is easy to sustain long term, and is not healthy to sustain long term. So once again, I want people to think about things in terms of, what is something that I can add to my life that's healthy, that I can stick to and create a lifestyle, right? I know that if I practice going to bed earlier, that this is going to have a huge impact on my health, because I'm going to start getting my quality 8 hours of sleep every night. Most people overlook that because they don't think it really matters if I sleep 8 hours. But if you really knew how much sleep impacts your health, it would blow your mind. It has literally so many benefits. You will live longer just by sleeping well. There's studies proving that sleeping will make you live longer. It impacts your blood sugar levels. It impacts your detoxification, your mood, your recovery, list goes on, right? So what I really want to bring to people's attention is the fact that you can make even just little changes that will be huge in your life. Adding in more protein, right? Because a lot of people undereat protein. This is why we created the Vibe Challenge, because it's a 6-step protocol with exactly what to do to add to your life that will not only make you live longer, but will make you more energized. You will drop weight, fat specifically. You will feel like $1,000,000 when you're done with 30 days. Like, you're going to feel incredible, because these 6 things are often overlooked because either they're free or it's something that we're like, people talk about this all the time. It's probably, that doesn't really matter that much, right? Like moving my body, getting more steps, right? hydrating, sleeping. This matters. People don't listen because it's not as flashy as sauna or the biohacking craziness or something that we can just buy, right? It's not like a pill that I can take and I lose 50 pounds. But what it does do is improve every other health marker, right? So once again, think about lifestyle, not just diet. Okay, let me go ahead and take a few more questions here. Nice. A few people saying, I get 8 hours of sleep. What do you think about milk? Should humans consume lactose? Okay, this is a good question. So, like I talked about earlier when I was talking about the elimination diet, dairy is one of those things that some people can tolerate and other people can't. If we're just talking about Holly's opinion on dairy, I personally think dairy shouldn't be consumed really by humans, because if we look at the animal kingdom and we look at mammals in general, what mammals consume dairy or milk? Babies that are growing. Humans or animals, right? Humans/animals that are in a growth phase are the ones that consume dairy. So it would make sense then, if we use our logic, that dairy is most likely going to give us hormones, right? Which it does, and certain growth factors that actually make our bodies grow faster. So is it bad for you? Of course, not for everyone, right? Some people tolerate it well. I actually do consume dairy occasionally because it doesn't bother me. But I'm also very aware that most of the conventional dairy on the market is so full of hormones. So if you are going to consume dairy, organic, raw, for me, personally, that's just my opinion, way better, because the conventional dairy has way too many hormones in it, and it will affect your body. We are seeing younger and younger and younger kids going through puberty, specifically girls, especially because there's so many hormones, not just in the meats, conventional meat, but also in dairy as well. So that's just my opinion. I don't see the purpose in people consuming tons of dairy, but like I said, this is something that most health gurus will say is completely okay to consume. But again, everyone has their opinion on it. And the number one thing I will say, do the elimination diet, 30 days, cut out dairy, reintroduce it. How do you feel? Do you feel good? Sweet. Maybe it's good for you in small amounts, right? I just noticed for myself, when I did my 30 days of elimination diet and I reintroduced dairy, I felt a little bit more mucus. And what I mean is like more phlegm in my throat than usual. So I noticed that I felt that dairy increased more of inflammation in my body. And even though it didn't hurt my stomach, I didn't feel bad. So it's all individual. You kind of really have to make that decision for yourself. Another person says, we are the only species in the animal kingdom to drink others' milk. Yeah, that's another point, right? So it is a little strange if you start to use logic, right? Okay. A lot of people saying Greek yogurt is good for you. Yeah, and a lot of people like yogurt for the fact that it has tons of probiotics. Like I said, I also eat yogurt sometimes too, but I don't. One thing I will say for sure, I do not drink milk, because that for me is a no-go. I prefer nut milks, and I do not like that there's tons of hormones, like I said, in conventional milk. So no thank you, not for me. What are your favorite foods to eat? Okay, so let me give you guys a few examples. That was also a really great question. So when people ask me, okay, I know I need to eat a whole food diet. What do you eat? What should I eat? Right? What I like to focus on primarily is high quality animal-based protein. So for me, that looks like I try to get a variety of different meats. So grass-fed, grass-finished beef is one of the best. Of course, if you can't get grass-fed, grass-finished, just try to find the best source that you can, right? That's the idea, is maybe you start with just eating beef, right? Because maybe right now you're just eating McDonald's, you're eating fast food. Okay, just start eating beef made at home. And then from there, you can upgrade to grass-fed beef, right? Eventually. So fish is another good one. Salmon, tilapia, seafood, shrimp in general is good because it's also very high in protein and healthy fats. I also really like to even switch up the different kinds of sources of darker red meats. So bison, venison, elk, I also like those. Eggs, of course, I eat a lot of eggs. I love that they're so convenient, easy to make, especially for breakfast. What is another one that I do? Those are the main ones. And then, of course, things like chicken and turkey. That's another one that I mix in there too. And there's so many different recipes and cool and really delicious things that you can make with those. So getting a variety matters because for me, especially red meat, is so nutrient dense and it's so many vitamins, minerals that are bioavailable. And what this means is the vitamins and nutrients in the meat, the body can actually absorb. Many of the vitamins that we take, depending on the brand, right? Your body can't break down. And when you consume something natural in a whole food form, the body can absorb those minerals much easier and break them down easier. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Most people don't think about meat that way. They think, oh, it's just protein, right? But when you get quality grass-fed beef and different meats, you get a lot of nutrients from those. So that is something to keep in mind. And then, of course, adding in your vegetables and your fruits. If you are someone who's dealing with gut issues, I recommend that you do a lot of cooked vegetables. Raw vegetables will cause bloating and just discomfort. So do a lot of cooked vegetables until your body can start tolerating more raw veggies. So that way you can start once again adding those in slowly. But I love to do a lot of cooked sweet potato. I love potato in general for my carb sources. If you are someone who's dealing with a lot of inflammation, um, let's say you're dealing with autoimmune, you're having problems with your skin, you're having weight loss resistance, things like that. What I have learned has worked really well for me and a lot of my clients is going grain free as well. So if you're going to eat carb sources, having those come from small amounts of potatoes, even things like pumpkin, spaghetti squash, butternut squash, um, even sweet potatoes. There's purple sweet potatoes. There's a lot of different things with more color that you get a lot more nutrients from and will once again decrease that inflammation. And then, of course, getting in a lot of vegetables. Like I said, cooked vegetables are really incredible for people for digestive purposes. And consuming a lot of fermented foods is really amazing for your gut as well. So sauerkraut, kimchi, even kefir, if you're someone who's tolerates dairy well, kefir is incredibly high in probiotics. So those are just a few things that are really beneficial that I like to add into my diet on a regular basis. I also do like to eat a lot of berries for antioxidants. So if you're getting a lot of polyphenols and antioxidants, this is also really helpful for decreasing inflammation. So think raw olive oil, even dark chocolate is really good, high in polyphenols, avocado, what else? Grapes, red grapes, things like that. Just think about getting in a variety of color in your diet when it comes to getting in a lot of nutrients, right? So those are pretty simple. I think that if you even just Google whole foods, it's going to pull up a whole host of things that you can do, that you can eat, that are really going to impact your health in a very positive way, right? And of course, I know for those people who haven't yet tried Vibe, this is also a really great addition for those of you who are on a gut healing journey because of the way that it is super packed with collagen, which is protein that is helpful for also rebuilding your gut lining, and pre and probiotics in the perfect ratio. That's not too much. Once again, will not aggravate people who have GI problems or that are very sensitive to fiber, soluble fiber in a perfect dose with probiotics to help repopulate your healthy bacteria, as well as guarana extract for natural energy without the jitters. And then we also have L-theanine in there as well for basically balancing out your nervous system. Because another thing that people overlook sometimes is the amount of stress that we're getting from every area of life, right? We have stress from work, stress from family, stress from food, stress from chemicals, you name it, right? L-theanine just happens to be a nutrient that helps your body basically come back to baseline, right? So instead of being hypervigilant and like stressed all the time, it helps relax your nervous system, which is going to bring down your cortisol levels, make it easier for you to lose fat, easier for you to repair your gut, easier for your body basically to decrease overall inflammation. Okay, so it's an incredible thing. And we wanted to add guarana because guarana extract is something that's a very natural form of caffeine in a very low dosage to where you still have energy, but once again, it's not going to negatively impact hormones. Because if we're talking about overdoing the caffeine and overdoing the stimulants, we're going to have problems. Okay, so be aware of those things. Let me make sure I'm not missing anything. And then we also have the CLA and calorie burn. This is another powerhouse. CLA helps the body shift into fat burning zone by basically shifting the body to burning fat instead of carbohydrates. CLA helps with fat metabolism. And then calorie burn, just like it sounds, is good for burning more calories. So basically, it targets your brown adipose tissue called BAT, B-A-T, and it is incredible for basically causing a thermogenic effect in the body, meaning it makes targeting that brown fat to burn more calories throughout the day. This is incredible for people who have a hard time targeting that stubborn fat, specifically around our belly area, around our organs. We call that visceral fat. That is the fat that causes so many problems in our body, health issues, right? You name it. So really, this product is, in my opinion, of course, best on the market, guys. Like, so good for helping you get back to the foundation of your health. Really, it attacks helping balance your nervous system. We're talking about giving you protein to make sure you have your amino acids for recovery, for helping the body heal. You have your pre and probiotics for balancing your gut microbiome. We have your natural energy without any jitters and is not going to affect your hormones. And then on top of that, we're bringing down our inflammation. We're helping our body lose fat, which is also going to help you decrease inflammation, bringing down our visceral fat levels. It is a win-win. It is a win-win-win across all levels. That is why this is so near and dear to my heart. And in the process of creating this, it was really about how do we create something that is going to not only save people money, because now you don't have to buy all these supplements separately, but it tastes good. So good. The peach flavor, guys, I am not lying to you right now. This is one of the best actually, supplements I've ever tasted. So freaking delicious. And of course, it makes you feel amazing. And that's the most important thing. Does it do what it claims to do? Does it actually make you feel good and actually help the body heal? And the answer is yes. And it's not just with me, it's with the hundreds and hundreds of people who have had incredible transformations with this product. And of course, when we combine that with our 30-day Vibe protocol, guys, it is a game changer. It is a life transforming experience for people. Like, it's not something that people do and then they're like, oh, wow, that made me feel amazing. It was like, holy crap, I never have to do another challenge again. I never have to go and like do all this research about what do I need to do, because now you have the groundwork. Now you have the foundation. Now you know exactly what you need to do every single day to feel incredible. It's pretty simple, guys. And I'm in love with it, and that is why I'm here to really spread the word. And hopefully you guys will also, especially if you're having any problems with your gut, you're not feeling your best, you're having low energy, this is for you. Try it out. I promise you're not going to regret it, guys. It's so Awesome. For those of you who want to check it out, of course, the link is in my bio for those of you who want to go get your own. It is available not only in US, guys. This is super exciting. I don't even think I told this yet to my TikTok, but this is available now in the US, of course. Also Mexico, Puerto Rico, and I think that's it. Where else? Let me make sure I'm not forgetting anything. I believe that's it for now. We have some other ones that are pending at the moment. So, of course, I'll keep you guys updated on everything. But we're really excited to just take this globally and to really spread the word about health, foundational health to the world, and to help people feel better, because when you're healthy, life is better. When you're healthy, your stress levels go down. When you're healthy, it's easier to navigate the stresses of life. So I'm really excited about this, and I'll be back again, guys, of course, to do another live talking all about these amazing things because this is my passion. I absolutely love this. So that's all I got for today. I'll see you guys again soon. Thanks for tuning in. Thank you so much for all of the engagement, the questions, the comments. Appreciate you guys, and I will see you again soon. Bye.